Good morning. It's Friday the 6th of June, so another weekly update for you. Also makes it Charity Day as well, so good luck to all those playing in Charity Day today. It's obviously always one of the flagship events for the golf club, and always a great day. So I hope all members and guests enjoy that. And there's cross country out here on Sunday as well, which is always a good bit of fun, something to look forward to. So yeah, you may see some blue markers out just on the sides of the tees. We put that out in the week, ready to go on the on Sunday. So good luck to all those playing and competing in those, and hope you enjoy it. So this morning we are cutting greens, rolling greens, tees and aprons, changing holes, and raking bunkers as well, and done a driving range pick first thing. So that's Friday setup. Elsewhere this week we've had quite a bit of rain this week. This was 5 or 6 mil earlier in the week and 8 mil yesterday, so had a good drop of rain, which takes the pressure of us automated watering and hand watering and things. That has seen a return to a bit of the cutting as well, so fairways have been cut as well this week, and green surrounds as well, so it feels quite a normal week in terms of the amount we're cutting, the cutting frequencies. So yeah, aprons have been done 3 times, tees twice, fairways once, and green surrounds, and then we've done under the trees. We're sort of getting into our summer flow, I suppose, of the semi-rough, where one week we'll go around and do the actual semi-rough with the big 4500 mower, and then the next week we go in between the trees, which just about stays on top of that. So that feels sort of as I said, in our summer flow. And it's been a really, really busy week for us. So it might be a bit of a longer video today. I'm not sure, but there's certainly a lot of subjects to cover. So yeah, looking forward to going through all that with you. We've got a robot on demo, so I'll go through a feature on that and how we see that going forward, and what may be the future of that. But yeah, very, very busy week. Lots gone on this week. So yeah, lots to report. So we'll start this week by going through the irrigation, because that was sort of the findings were still being found out for that when we recorded last week. So we've had an irrigation leak, which is causing the water bill to be more than it usually would, and then it's always important to find them and fix them due to pressure and things like that. Make sure we're getting the right pressure flow out of the heads, because they're all calibrated to put out a certain amount of water. So if you're losing water from leakages, then that's not going to be right. And as I said, you're spending water through water leaking in the ground. So we've been sort of turning the taps on and off when we've needed it, to reduce that amount of water. So just to give a background, the irrigation system is very old. I think it was built in the 70s, and usually irrigation systems are renewed every sort of 25-30 years as a guide. The system that's out there is PVC. It's sort of old PVC plastic, and then it's glued together every 6 meters. That's now been superseded by a far more robust pipe work, which is MDPE, and that comes in hundreds and hundreds of meters of roll, so it's got less connections, and is a lot more solid. Usually with irrigation leaks, you tend to find them in the boxes. There's quite a number of connections in and around those valve boxes, so the green lids that you see around greens and tees. So that makes it very easy to identify where leaks are. We weren't able to do that because there was no box was filling up with water. There was no lush green around anywhere. I mean, the golf course was, even though we had been dry for a while, it was still rather green. To make things, it is very, very difficult in terms of our system. The company that built it it was built in the 70s, as I mentioned, and the company that built it went bust in the 90s. So there's no archive files, and the golf course don't hold any maps of detailing exactly where the system goes. So we don't know the system brilliantly because it's all underground and we have no maps, and it makes it a real needle in a haystack job, so it takes a lot of time of investigating and a lot of toing and froing and fixing and putting in new isolation valves to try and narrow down roughly a leg of where the irrigation leak was. Eventually we narrowed it down, and it was relatively close to a box. So if you look left of the fourth green, that box feeds, there's a box there that feeds the fourth green and the fifth tee. So yeah, when we found that using a water listening device. So the irrigation contractor got to the stage where we went round and started listening to some of the boxes to see if we could identify if it was, because we were rather struggling with trying to find it on a main line and to process. Process and eliminate that it wasn't near any of the boxes. We used a water listening device just in case it was doing what it was doing, and we had quite a substantial leak, but it was managing to go through the chalk. I mean, on many other golf courses, if you're at any other golf course locally where the soil isn't so free draining the chalk, that would have bubbled up and come up to the surface and been quite easy to find. But unfortunately, it was just outside the box, and the leak was managing to go through the chalk and down and not come up. So yeah, we were able to find that using a water listening device. As Mark, the deputy, said, it sounded like there was a waterfall in there when he listened in. So eventually that makes it all sound really simple and quite short, but it's it was a lot of investigations to find that and work that out. So yeah, that's where you see that hole open there. So that's ready to get fixed, and then we're good to go back up and running with our irrigation system again. I mentioned a few weeks ago spraying season, so an update on that. One thing I haven't recorded and mentioned that we've done as well is where we've trimmed in front of the tees. We've also gone round and put an application of a product that kills all the thick grasses. So over the years, where we've tried to keep the rough thin and wispy, we've been spraying those with a chemical which it's very clever. It's almost amazing that this works, but it targets and kills all the thick grasses, so the rye, the Yorkshire fogs in the rough where it gets really, really thick. It kills those off to leave the fescues and the bents and just leave you with those finer grasses, and that helps us keep and maintain a wispy rough, so that we can find our ball. A little bit punishing, but it looks fantastic, creates great definition, and you find your ball, and then you take your punishment, or you go for it and play from the wispy rough, which really suits the site and what we're trying to achieve. So that same chemical that we've been using there, we sprayed that in front of the tees and around some of the benches and around the tee signs as well. So with some of the tee signs, we're trying to maintain that rustic definition. So we're not aiming just to trim them down every week all the time and stay on top of them. There's a photo here of the third, which is a great example of what we're trying to do. Just have that fine wispy stuff around the bottom. The thicker grasses does make it look overgrown and thick and wet and look, it makes it look a mess around them. Whereas again, what we're going for that rustic definition of the sleeper sat in amongst that fescue and that bent grass is the look we're going for. So so that's something we've been round and addressed to make sure we're not getting thick grass right in front of the tees, or by the bench seats and on the tee signs as well. And it is definitely clover season out there. The clover, with weeds, you tend to do them twice per year. The daisies come up earlier in the year, and then in the summer. So now, around June, the clover starts coming out. So you sort of feel like you do two lots of attacking weeds. One in the spring where it's daisies and things like that come up, and now this time of year it's the clover, which are the two most prominent. And they, as I said, they come up at different times, so you sort of have to attack them attack them as and when they come up. So we did start that on Monday with limited time and the amount of clover that's out there. We mixed up the sprayer and just was doing spot spraying with the sprayer. So we made a start on that, but had a bit of a breakdown with the sprayer. The throttle cable went, so that's been ordered, and we'll continue on with that as soon as the throttle cable's here and fixed. There was a green spray due to go out this week, which is the feed, so the plant growth regulator feed. So that hasn't gone out. So green speeds may ever so slightly slow, just because they're getting a little bit more growth. The growth isn't quite as controlled as it normally is with the regular applications of the plant growth regulator. We may get a bit of extra growth, particularly in the afternoons and things like that. So, but as soon as that's fixed, we'll catch up with that spray and get that on. Onto robots. We have a robot on demo for a couple of weeks. So we're going to try it on fairway. So it's been set up to cut the first fairway, 9th fairway, and 18th fairway. So it's going to sort of run between those three. And then for the second week, we're going to set it up on the semi-rough. So how this is set up is it uses a GPS mapping system. So this wheel has a the white dot, the white disc here. That is making a GPS signal all the time of its boundaries. So if you think the right wheel of this GPS stick, that it imitates that with the right wheel of the robot. So yeah, you just, as you can see, it says recording in progress on there. And so you map out the area using that right wheel, and then save it into the app. And then once you press go on the robot, it will go and cut everything within that area. So once this is set up and the pathways are set up, so the robot knows how to get between fairways and back to its charging station, as I said, it will crack on cutting. This is set down to 12 millimeters, which is exactly the same as what our fairways are. It uses a rotary style cutting method. So there's some small metal cutters under that robot, set at 12 mil, which will continue to spin. It's a similar method to what a rotary style mowing method, as opposed to cylinder and bottom blade, which we'd use on a traditional fairway mower. These will run for around 2 hours at a time, and then they'll go back to their charging station and charge for around half an hour, 25 minutes, half an hour, and then they will head back out. So obviously they're relatively small. If you stand there and watch it, it doesn't feel like they're achieving a huge amount in a short space of time. I think we had it set up to start cutting somewhere around. It was probably later than midday. It probably had been about 12:30, 1 o'clock, I suppose, by the time we had it set up to cut the first fairway. And looking at the app, it didn't finish cutting the first until almost midnight. So it takes a long time to get over those areas, but they are constantly working. The idea of them is they will continue. They'll go on weekends. They will, work throughout. They work throughout the night. So as I said, they'll continue to do that. 2 hours on, come back for charge for 25 minutes, all the way through the night. And then by the time you come in the next morning, it's sort of it's achieved quite a bit with the number of hours that it keeps going. So the app gives you you see in blue, this is everything that's been done. We did have a breakdown on it last night. So after it finished with the first fairway, it went back to either charge or and it couldn't find its charging station, so it was sort of stuck there all night, and it took us to come in and reset it. It had to charge and reset before it went out. So it's not this isn't an accurate reading of everything it's done since 12:30 yesterday. I would like to think it'd be well on its way to have finished the 3/4 of the way through 18 by now, and then it's ready to start the first again after it's cut 18. So you'd need more than, obviously one robot isn't going to be enough. You'd need several across the golf course to get across everything in a week, and then you sort of need them relatively close to the charging stations and things like that. So the positives and the negatives and the conclusions of them, I suppose, really, I very much do see them as the future. Whether, well, I suppose I'll start with one of the negatives is I think that I'm not overly enamoured with the quality of cut you get on the fairways down at 12mm at the moment using that that rotary method. I do like that finish from I feel that the cylinder mowers from the fairway mowers, they give a good cut with those cylinders, and then you've got a roll with the rollers behind as well, so you get that nice definitive dark and light line on the fairways, and I think they do look, the surface looks tighter and a better finish, a better cut for using a cylinder method. Something else I'm a little bit concerned of and hesitant of as well is the cutting blades on them are very, very small. I'll put a photo on next week of that, but yeah, my worry would be the amount of labour time we're going to have to spend going in between trees and picking up sticks, and I'd worry that the blades either get caught blunt or broken on sticks and things like that, and we're going to have to put you almost have. I'm not saying it's going to be a full-time job, but let's say it makes a job for another job when it's supposed to be cutting down time. So they would be my two reservations on it, but I'm sure they will overcome in time, and you get used to those sort of things. But because I do very much see these as the future, 100% on semi-rough. I really like the idea of a semi-rough. You can set it exactly to where you want it to cut. You look at the mower. I don't know how many of you know Richard or Dickie Whiteway, who's a member. He cuts all of our semi-rough for us. That mower that he sits on when you see him out on that 4500, that large semi-rough mower, to replace that, they are now over £100,000. They're £100,000 to replace that mower that cuts the semi-rough. So by the time you've got that expensive mower, you've got to pay someone to sit on it. There's the diesel to feed it. There's the servicing and maintaining of all the machines. The cost is getting incredibly large, and the robots are going to work really, really well in terms of keeping those costs down. They're going to be far cheaper, far more economical. And I think that, so I very much see those as a good thing and the future. But that isn't to take away. I don't see these taking away greenkeeping jobs. I think it just allows. Well, we would never get robots to try and take away staff. It just allows us to go and focus on more attention to detail jobs and catching up with. We always feel like we're behind the curve. We always feel like there's jobs that need doing. It's just going to give us more time to focus on those areas. Why would you not have them if they're going to spread the workload, allow us to focus on more attention to detail, or even potentially even construction jobs, whilst to drive the golf course forward, while the robots are helping to maintain at a more economical rate than the mowers and labour is. So I very much do see them as the future. I suppose the one limiting factor is that they do need power. So you would have to run power through the golf course. So how expensive that is to fit in and put install is yet to be known, and we'd have to look into that. So maybe some startup costs, for example, a lot of golf courses that are putting new irrigation systems out, they're running powered cable with their irrigation for things like this, so in the future we're able to, it's there ready, set up, ready to go whilst you're digging and putting them in, which makes perfect sense. So that's the things to consider. But I really, really do see these as a good thing in the future. So I'll just rattle through the other jobs that we've been up to this week, because I'm quite conscious that there's quite a lot gone on, and quite a lot gone into those subjects that we've already talked about. So we've had the digger out on the 14th and 15th pathway, just to try and get those smoothed over and compacted in with just using the tracks of the digger, just to tidy those up and make them a bit smoother. And we've had a good tidy up at the short game area. A lot of the gorse has started to get quite overgrown and grow into that apron, so we've trimmed all that back so we can extend that apron out and just keep that a bit tidy. We planted gorse there just to try and take that eye off the building, greenkeeper building, while down at the SGA. That's another job we've done this week, just tidy that up. We've topped up some of the sand in the bunkers, particularly on 10 and 3, and some of the ones that weren't done earlier over the very early spring, when we were preparing for those spring tournaments. We'd left the sort of 10th and 3rd till last because we knew that they were refurbished a couple of years ago, rebuilt, and then so there was some sand in them, but I was just starting to experience when raking the middles. I could feel myself catching something firm, which was the liner that we put in the bunkers. We made our own sort of homemade liner using soil and mixing it with a perma soil, which turns the bottom of those bases almost like concrete, to attempt to stop the stones coming up through, and then put drainage in there because it's not porous. So so I just felt like we were starting to hit that liner that as we were raking. So they definitely needed some sand levels and some extra sand in there. So that's been done already for Charity Day today and Club Champs in a few weeks, and so all the bunkers now have had a good service and new amount of sand this year. Post and rope has been completed this week as well. We just put post and rope near our carries so we can get the good definition that we like. Golfers do take the shortest, easiest route, and then we struggle to get that definition of the wispy rough carries. So we create those pathways with a sidewinder, and we just push use post and rope just to push people onto those pathways. And then the idea is we do sort of a small smiley face near the pathways, just to get people on there, and then we'll do another one at the end. So so it keeps them on there. That allows golfers to get in and on the carries if they need to, if their balls are there. So there's not lots and lots of rope to walk around, but it just allows us to have that rustic definition of that downland look that we're going for, and the island tees that we're looking for. And finally, we've had our water bowser, a pump fitted on our water bowser this week with a mechanic engineer. So that will allow us, that will work as a backup system for any issues with our irrigation. This has got 2 features on it in terms of it will spray as it is here. So that will probably get used for potentially. I think the 14th fairway dried out quite badly in a drought in 2018, and it was quite a lot of work to reseed and regrow all that back in. So that allows us to water that should we need to, or any other fairways using that feature. And then there's also a hand watering point on it as well, so we can, let's say the irrigation system really failed on us, we've got some means of getting the water out. Something I'm quite excited to use it for regularly as well is many of the boxes are a long way away from the tee. So for example, I'd mentioned this already, where the leak is left of the 4th, that is the nearest point to the 5th tee. The 5th tee, the pipe runs all the way from the left side of 4 all the way around to the 5th tees. So we'd have to connect 2-3 hoses together to hand water the 5th tees. So there are a number of tees that don't have any irrigation on, and then there are some where it's very, very hard to hand water if it needs a bit of extra backup, or the irrigation stops working on it, the heads start to fail or don't work. We to get some water on there using hand watering, this will now be a good option, rather than guys putting 2 and 3 hoses together, which is very heavy, very labour intensive, and takes a long time. We can we can fill this tank up and drive around and put the water on using this. So it's a very, very good thing to use as a backup, and then as a bit of regular hand watering when required. That's all for this week, folks. Yeah, very busy week out on the course. So there's quite a lot of content in there, but hopefully that explains a lot of things we've been up to and is useful content for you. We look forward to catching up with you again at the end of next week.